on the Vin and Mike episode 118.
What's up, Vinny? 118 already. How you doing?
I'm good. How you been?
Just laying this good music.
Playing your jazzy jazz over there?
Oh, yeah. Got to start Friday night off right. A lot of sports news. Got to get it right.
A big Friday here on Vin and Mike. Mike, go ahead, introduce our guest who's been a former guest before.
Yeah, we got him on. He was free.
Yeah.
Do I call him
having me back? Thank you.
Do I call him the most pessimistic Yankee fan, optimistic Yankee fan?
I think he's feeling really good about where the team is going.
I hope so. But we'll talk about it. Now, we want to welcome back childhood friend. I just saw him Thanksgiving. It was great seeing him. And, he was my partner in crime with the Yankees growing up, with the Knicks, and many others. Let's welcome back Steve Moses. Steve, how you doing?
Great, guys. Yeah, thank you for having me back. It's always fun going back from Thanksgiving and then going to the weeds with the family and all. But, wow, who thought we'd be talking about baseball in the middle of December?
Yeah, a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah.
So let's get right down to it. All right, let's just start out. Juan Soto, all this stuff. Didn't talk to any Yankees during the right after the World Series. Took the most money from the Mets. All that stuff. I think we were talking 12 years, 600, 700 million when we were having some discussions. Never thought it would get to 15 years and 765 million. But Steve, what's your real feelings about him taking that amount of money, going to the Mets and the whole thing?
Yeah, I think this is honestly a consequence of Boris. Boris wanted the highest AAV. He wanted to be able to say that Soto got more than Ohtani. And this is what ended up happening. He ended up getting the extra. Well, he would have gotten an extra year from the Yankees. I think they offered him 16 years of 760, which you do the math, it comes out to like 47 and change. Whereas the Mets offered him 51 for an AAV. So I think in this day and age, the market is always what it is, and Soto got more off an offer. He also has a bunch of escalators in the 765 contract, which I think can actually, from what I was reading, can actually go up to over or close to 800, which is absurd. Plus a $75 million signing bonus. I mean, I think if you or I ever had a $75 million signing bonus, I think we would quit our day job.
I think I would be sick for year one of my contract, even though I'm getting paid $51 million on top of the 75. I'm walking away with $126 million by October, right? I mean,
it's crazy, absolutely crazy money. I mean, I think it's nothing any of us can honestly ever fathom. It's absurd money.
We knew that Mr. Cohen was going to do better than what everybody else did, or at least try. Although the Yankees were going to, I would say they tried their best, but this opened up a lot of pitching for the Yankees. So let's talk about that, Steve, with the recent moves. Max Fried and others. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, literally in the last 24 hours, like things have really shifted, and I think that's the whole domino effect was going to happen with Soto. Either he signed with the Yankees or not, and then if he didn't, which he hasn't. Cashman then pivots to what everyone's calling Plan B or Plan C and D. So with that, they turn around and they actually steal Max Fried away from the Red Sox, which is, I think, always a good move. You don't ever want your closest competitor or future competitor to gain any assets that you had access to. So, yeah, do I think they maybe Mike and I were talking off the air about maybe they overcommitted with a number of years, but I still think it's a solid signing. This guy is he was an ace for the Braves. I compare his stuff a lot to like a better version of Andy Pettitte, to be honest with you. He's got a really good grounder, a really good sinker, a really good cutter, great curveball. He probably gets more whiffs than Pettitte would, but he's a ground ball pitcher, and that's going to serve him well at Yankee Stadium. I mean, you don't want to have a guy who's giving up homers left and right, and I think he's a nice complement to the hard throwing Cole and Rodon on the rotation. I think it gives you a lot of balance. And if you split them up, you go Cole, Fried, then Rodon. That's a great top three if everyone stays healthy. So I think Cashman did a really, really good job with that signing. I think I applaud him for that. and pitching, we know, wins championships if it's utilized in the right manner. And then today, obviously, a couple hours ago, we find out that they traded their. So what the Fried deal does is it gives you a surplus of pitching. So you have, an expendable arm in Nestor Cortez, where he wasn't even projected to be in the starting rotation come playoff time last year or the year before. And you trade him over to Milwaukee along with another prospect, and you get Devin Williams, and he bolsters your bullpen. So, and Devin Williams has one of the most amazing changeups in the game, like absolutely unhittable. This guy is lights out. I mean, everyone in New York probably knows him because he gave up the home run to Alonso last year. But honestly, look at his body of work from the years prior. Like this guy was unhittable. So I think he's going to be a great complement to the back. He's going to stabilize the back end of the bullpen. I think we still need more arms in the bullpen, though. I still think we are a little we're a little light out there. And then I guess we'll talk more about where to go with the offense.
Any parting words for Nestor Cortez?
It's funny. I have a good friend of mine who calls him like a wackadoo. He just thinks he's like, I'll put it this way. He was a warrior. I thought he played his butt off. I think he was a true Yankee, and he was dedicated to winning. He had like a really good year, and I think it was 22, and he served us well, and I wish him nothing but the best. I mean, I don't know him personally, obviously, but like if I could say anything to him, I thank him for his services. He did an amazing job, and like I think this may be one of those trades where both sides end up benefiting. I think he's going to serve Milwaukee very well.
Yeah, and Boone put him in an impossible situation, coming off the elbow injury and pitching out of the bullpen against Freddie Freeman. I mean, I still aggravated about that. Out of all the moves that Boone made throughout the year, I think that was like the worst move he could have made, especially the way Tim Hill was pitching in this series and everything. But that's water under the bridge, as they say, right? We'll get past that. But, the other thing about Devin Williams, I just want to make a quick comment. If you look at when he gives up those hits or those home runs, it's usually back-to-back appearances, or, it's when he's a little bit overused. And the Brewers, you always overuse your bullpen in the playoffs, and that's why you always get these dramatic home runs off these relievers in the playoffs. But if you look at him when he's on regular rest, and like Steve said, he's lights out. He's totally lights out. And if we use him in the 8th or the 9th inning, flip-flopping with Weaver, I think we've at least solidified that 8th and 9th inning now. So I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, no, I think it was a great signing. I think the one little, I'm not an expert. I don't want to call it in like pitching mechanics and all. The one little interesting tidbit to this is like, so obviously Williams' best pitch is his changeup, and he probably works it off of his fastball. It's the same thing Weaver kind of does. Weaver kind of also has like a really electric fastball and like a really cool Bugs Bunny changeup. And that's the one little, I always like variety of pitchers that come out of the bullpen in different styles. And I guess in the end, Weaver probably throws his fastball way more than Williams does. So I think it probably does complement itself well. But the two pitches that both these pitchers are going to rely on are fastball changeup. Yeah.
I think that's the new style of closers now. It used to be fastball splitter, right? Fastball slider, whatever. Now it's like fastball changeup, and it's even the lefties are developing that fastball changeup from that closer mentality. I guess just when you're throwing 100 miles an hour and then the pitch comes at you at 85, it's a big difference. So, so Soto's to the Mets. I look at their lineup, Lindor, McNeil, Nimmo, Beatty, Vientos. I think they need another bat when I look at it. I don't think they're going to sign Alonso or re-sign Alonso. So, if you're the Mets, are you looking? Where are you looking at this point?
It's too bad they didn't get Tucker.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing. Kyle Tucker went to the Cubs.
I know. And now, someone wrote they hope Tucker owns the F out of the Mets. That's what
we're talking. And all kidding aside, $126 million this year. are the Mets already like pushed themselves to the limit of like where they should be from salary? I know Steve Cohen has all this money, but you don't want to spend all this money in salary and the team actually lose money, right? Like you're not in the business no matter what to lose money. So like, where are they? You think in like this whole threshold? I mean, it's at the point where, are they going to be able to fill in some of these pieces?
I mean, let's also not forget they have like what 1/3 or 2/3 of their rotation to fill too. They're going to put Holmes in the starting rotation, which we can argue whether or not that's a good move, but I guess that's not our decision to make.
No,
and they have Frankie Montas. They have basically all the Yankee castaways on their team now.
They're like the A's. If you pitch for the Yankees, you go to Oakland or the Mets.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess they probably could re-sign Alonso because, like we were saying, Cohen's piggy bank is unlimited. But they need a first baseman, or they need a third baseman, and have Vientos move over to first, whatever they're.
How great was Vientos last season? For what they gotta. I don't know if they're going to keep. I don't know what's going to happen with Alonso.
I don't think they want him. I'll be honest.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I'm from the DC area, and I'm hearing rumors that the Nationals are interested in him, of all teams. I mean, I think it would be really cool to have like one of your homegrown superstars play against you in the division. If Steve Cohen lets him walk to the Nationals and Alonso beats up on the Mets for the next 5 years, that would be awesome.
Let me throw a guest up here real quick. Yeah. Mo Money says hi. Say hi, Mo Money.
What's up, Mo Money?
So let's continue to talk about the Yankees. So Jazz Chisholm, do you think he stays in the infield or he's going to go back to center, put Judge to right? What's some of your feelings there, Steve?
I think he definitely stays in the infield. Whether or not he stays at third versus second, I think it depends on the rest of the offseason and where they can fill it in. I mean, the natural next move for the Cubs is going to be trading Bellinger. Whether or not it actually happens and goes to the Yankees, I think remains to be seen. But they've got a surplus of outfielders right now over with Tucker now being traded. They've got Bellinger, and they've got Ian Happ over in left, who's got a no trade clause, so he's not going anywhere. And then they've got the Japanese player who's also, I think, flipping and flopping between DH and the outfield. So they need to shore up that, and I think the natural thing for them to do is to trade Bellinger. It scares me a little bit with the Yankees. I don't know. I mean, I see the fit from a needs perspective, and I don't know if I want to count on his bat as being the lefty complement to Judge. I think Dominguez is going to be Jason Dominguez, moving on to who we do have in-house, is going to be given every opportunity to play center, presumably, or left. I think he didn't really fare very well last year in left, and I think he was a natural center fielder in the minors. So they may try him back out there and give him a chance to kind of take the bull by the horn, see what he can do. So I think that's where he goes. And getting back to your question, I think that then you probably keep Jazz where he thrived in the infield, whether it be at second or third or whatnot. So I would keep him in the infield. I think he's better utilized there.
Where would you want his bat to be in the lineup? If you were doing a line, that's right now. I want you to do the lineup. Where would you want his bat to be right now?
It's a good question. I mean, I think as it currently stands, we need his lefty bat to offset Judge. So whether or not you bat him, we were talking about it earlier. Do you keep Wells in the 4 spot? Let's say we don't add anybody else. Okay. And this is outside the any possible future trades. Do you put him number 2? Do you lead off with like Volpe, then Jazz, Judge, Wells, Stanton, Dominguez, or do you put Dominguez in the number 2 spot and put Jazz lower down in number 5? I think I think it depends on Dominguez's, how his spring training goes. Is he able to take his walks? Is he able to turn on pitches like he was 2 years ago? Last year, he was like a shell of himself. So, he needs to pick it up and give see what he can do this year. And I think that'll determine whether or not he bats in the lower down the order, or is he in the more top on the order, depending on how he does. And then you put Jazz, I think, in the opposite end, depending on what Dominguez does.
Yeah, I think they give Volpe every opportunity to lead off also. I think
that'd be great for him.
They gave him the opportunity last year. He started off good and then fell off, and then Glaber took that spot and did well there. And I think now with Glaber out of the picture, I think they give him every opportunity to lead off. I think Dominguez, if they don't give, like you said, if they don't add anyone, I think Dominguez has got a really good shot of being in that number 2 hole. But I think eventually they'll get somebody outside of free agency, like a Bellinger or Bregman, someone like that to bat second. Right? Like that's essentially what's going to happen. I know they want a lefty hitter in that 2 hole, as much as the best free agents out there right now are right-handed hitters. That's why I think the Bellinger trade makes sense for them when they look at it. Right? You always want some kind of big left-handed bat in Yankee Stadium.
Right. Yeah, I think it's a fit. Like I said, I think I see it working. It's just it maybe wouldn't have been my first choice, obviously, going into the off season, but it is what it is. I mean, I think if you surround him with enough other players, I think he'll be fine. If you look at his stats over the last couple of years, he's actually my biggest thing with him is that his swing looks so long, but he actually doesn't strike out that much. He's actually a fairly good contact hitter. And maybe the short right field actually does him well, and maybe hits a couple more bombs than what he was doing with the Cubs when it was like he's probably playing in like sub-zero temperature for half the year out in Chicago. So who knows if that actually affects his stats also.
Steve actually had a question for you coming on the phone. Would you rather bring in Bellinger or Bregman if you had to choose right now? Who would have more impact on the team?
Ooh, that's a good question. Honestly, this is going to sound totally off. I like Bregman's leadership. I think he's a true natural leader. He also wears number 2 because he loved Jeter. So there's probably like some underlying like lore for the Yankees that he'd love playing for us. I know the whole cheating scandal and the Astros are in the back of everyone's mind, but like I like the kid's makeup. He was clutch in the World Series the couple of times he played in it. So I trust Bregman over Bellinger, although I do like the lefty bat, but I would take Bregman. What would you guys choose? Who would you take?
I mean, listen, I think Bregman has to get the Aaron Judge approval, right?
Yeah.
That's essentially what it comes down to. He's a right-handed bat, but he plays third base, and if we're going to move Jazz to second, we need a third baseman. Right. And I don't see any second baseman out there that is at Jazz's level or Bregman's level, right? Like that's really what it comes down to as well. So, and he's played in the World Series. He's won World Series. He's played in a lot of playoff games. We've seen the way he hits in those games against us. He's just a really, really solid guy. I mean, listen, the Yankees are at this point. I think we had this discussion. $31 million last year went to Soto, 17 went to Rizzo, 14 went to Glaber, 9 went to Verdugo. So, add that number up. It's somewhere in the $70 million range. They spent $27 million on Fried. They spent 7 on Devin, but Cortez went back. So I don't know what Cortez was making, but let's just even it off. Let's just say it's $5 million. So let's just say it's $32 million. To me, they still got $39 million just to match last year's salary, and they should go a little bit above because they made $650 million last year as a franchise. You know what I mean? So, let's spend $100 million and bring both Bellinger and Bregman in. At this point, if you're going to make the moves, make the moves.
I mean, the one added benefit with Bregman is it's just money. You're not giving away anybody to get Bellinger. Yeah.
I guess if you're going to get Bellinger, we'd probably have to give up Will Warren. I'm okay with
it. I think that's the net. Yeah, they would have to give away Warren. I think that's what the Cubs would want.
Yeah, I don't know who else, but I'm guessing they could have Oswaldo Cabrera too if they want him.
Right at this point.
What would be great is you get Bregman at third, and then you get Walker or Alonso at first.
Yeah.
I don't want. I honestly, I don't want Alonso. I don't.
I like Alonso. I don't care what you say.
I think he's a good guy.
No,
I like him as a human being.
I don't want him touching that field. He's a terrible fielder. He's
That's
he
your opinion.
strikes out way too much. He's like Giancarlo Stanton 2.0.
Yeah, he's going to be. I just feel I see him as an injury risk waiting to happen.
At least Walker. I know Walker's a righty, a little older, the whole thing, but at least he's a Gold Glove.
Yeah,
He won the Gold Glove, so I'd rather have Walker.
Oh, I'd rather, but I would say.
I'd be
interesting to have Alonso come to us.
I think it would be a nice, about face to Steve Cohen to sign one of his own players and show it to him. But at the same time, I think you got to do what makes baseball sense. Walker is a Gold Glove caliber first baseman, which you mentioned, Vin, and like his power is unheard of. Also, he's so underrated. And I think you get him on a shorter deal too. He's already old. You're not going to be committing like 8 years to Alonso or whatever ridiculous number he's going to ask for. I like Walker. I think he's going to carry a high AAV, but at the same time, I think he's going to be on a shorter deal. And I like Walker a lot.
I'm guessing Walker is probably 3 years, 75, 4 year, 100, something like that. That's probably what he's looking at.
Yeah.
Where Alonso's probably, like you say, he's probably looking at 8 years, 200 million, right?
Right.
I'm guessing.
I would assume.
Yeah.
Because let's say Walker goes first for just playing. Let's say he gets like 20, 25 a year. So if Alonso's thinking he's getting 25, or Walker's getting 25, he's going to at least want to match it, if not more, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, we know Walker. I think the Yankees are set up, or they're setting themselves up for a 2-year run here, right? Cole is at that age where I think we get 2 more years out of him. We know Max Fried's 8-year deal is essentially a 4-year deal because the last 4 years are he's going to be 35 plus. Rodon is, right at that same spot now. I mean, everybody's really where, we got to do things in the next 2 years. Even Judge is what, 31, 32? I mean, eventually everybody's going to be 35. And in baseball, without the good old PEDs, 35 is when things start going south.
We're going to get real old real quickly.
I always think about like Albert Pujols, right? I mean, he was unbelievable in St. Louis from like 19 years old to like 29. Like numbers that you thought were going to surpass Aaron and Ruth and all these guys. And he hit 30, went out to Los Angeles and never was the same player again. And not that he was, terrible, but he was not 45, 130 RBI guy anymore. Just, and it slowly dropped. That's, what's going to happen to these guys. That's the other interesting thing about Soto, right? He started at 18, 19 years old, has been playing at this high level. He's going to get to 30, 31. Is that when the drop off starts for him or not? It'll be interesting to see. It's way off down the line, but it's an interesting thing. I mean, 15-year deal, as we said, is probably 7 years overpaying him.
Yeah, I guarantee you're not going to get a 5-tool player for all those 15 years.
No, and he's
not going to be staying in the outfield either. We saw some of his shortcomings even in the smaller Yankee Stadium. Like Citi Field has a much bigger right field than Yankee Stadium.
I know.
Like his range was not great.
Bad angles, multiple times that he's running like sideways instead of like on a good angle.
You're not paying him for his defense. You're paying him for his bat.
Yeah. How many times is he going to be walked this year if he has Mark Vientos batting behind him instead of Aaron Judge? I would think 200 times.
Yeah, without doubt. Yeah, there's no protection whatsoever. Like I don't think they're going to bat. They'll probably lead off right with Lindor, I would assume.
I would think.
Yeah.
So they're not going to have his protection. He's already batted. Who's batting behind him right now in their lineup? Nobody. Like Vientos, like come on, like no. I mean, that's why they didn't need another bat. They need Pete, honestly. The natural fit, I keep saying natural fit, but the Mets' natural fit is actually Alonso going back there.
Or get Bregman to play third.
Lindor,
All right.
Let's see. Lindor, Soto, Vientos, Nimmo, Marte. Who else? McNeil. I don't know.
No.
It's not Aaron Judge.
Yeah, exactly.
There's only two guys that could bat behind Soto that are gonna, make him produce the same numbers. It's Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani, right? I mean, that's really it. Everyone else that bats behind them, they don't care. They'll walk them. That's why they really need to get somebody to hit 30. Like Santander might be a good guy for them to bring in just the DH, right? And play or convert him to a first baseman and have him bat behind freaking Soto.
Yeah, that's an idea. That's a move. I mean, I guess you're getting slower and slower, but yeah.
I'm just saying they need somebody to bat behind them. Maybe what's his name? Alvarez will, be Mike Piazza and bat behind him.
Maybe. I think the Mets are wishful thinking there, but I think Alvarez will he's going to be a solid catcher. Definitely from an offensive perspective, he's going to give you at least 20-25 bombs per year. He's a solid player. I just don't think he's going to give you the Mike Piazza protection you had back in the late 90s, early 2000s.
No. Mike Piazza's like once in a lifetime kind of catcher, right? It's like Johnny Bench, Piazza. It's hard to find guys like that, Joe Mauer, something like that.
What do you guys think of the so I was thinking myself just now, like literally there are like 6 or 7 teams in the NL that could probably, as of today, legitimately call themselves like contenders for the World Series, right?
Yeah.
The AL, I got 2, maybe. Maybe 2. I got the Yankees and maybe the Orioles if they get a frontline starter, but like who else is there?
Cleveland. I would throw Cleveland.
Like,
they gave us a hard time, but again, I don't know.
No, that's a good point, Steve. National League is stocked.
It's stacked. The National League is so stacked right now. It's unbelievable.
I like Seattle's starting staff.
That's true, but they have no offense.
No, they only have J-Rod. That's about it.
Right. Although there are rumors, I guess, that they're throwing out Luis Castillo on the trading block, and I think the Red Sox have shown some interest in theoretically giving off Tristan Casas, who's a great young first baseman who would be a really good fit for Seattle, and obviously would benefit the Red Sox too, because I think they need another veteran starter who's going to be up the top end of the rotation. Even with the Crochet deal, I still think they need another solid number 2 who's been a veteran. I thought actually Evaldi would have been a great fit for them to come back and pitch for them, but he re-signed with Texas.
Yeah, he likes it there. You know what he likes? It's called no state tax.
Yes. And probably not pitching in like I said, sub-zero temperatures in Boston.
I don't have to give you 10% of my money to the state of Massachusetts, and I'm going to stay here in Texas.
Yeah. Steve, where do you feel the Cubs are going to land this year?
I mean, it's hard to say in December.
I want to just early.
I think look at the division. Okay, you got the Cardinals have announced obviously they're in a rebuild, so the Cardinals aren't going to be competitors this year. Pittsburgh has really good up and coming starting pitching. Like they actually, I think, will make a name for themselves this year. I think this should be their year to start kind of trying to put things together. But they also have a very, very, very short depth offense. Like they've got Hayes and they've got Brian Reynolds, but who else do they have on that team? I think Cincinnati is the team that I'd be banking on this year. With Terry Francona at the helm now coming back, they've got some young, good pitchers like Hunter Green and Abbott, and there are a number of other ones I can't remember off the top of my head. What's his name? Lodolo, that was his name. And they've got like one of the most amazing offensive players in Ellie De La Cruz there. Like he's a superstar. So I think Cincinnati is going to be a real force to be reckoned with this year. And then Milwaukee's going to be solid. They won the division last year. I put them in the same realm as the Cubs. I think the Cubs and the Brewers are probably going to be there. The Cubs still need more pitching. I don't know if they even have a bullpen. I have no idea who they gave us Pryor. I honestly would think that I would put them as either number 2 or number 3 right now in the division.
Yeah. You know, both of you, I'm so impressed with both of you that you both have done this fantasy baseball, because I would have no patience. I mean, I don't know how you both do it. I really don't. I have enough with football. That's got to be one of the hardest fantasy sports to do, right?
The good thing for me, it's a weekly lineup setup. So Sunday night essentially is when I have to make sure my lineup's set up. Now during the week, of course, you got to pay attention to what's going on, because you got to have to pick up guys for the next week. But at least you don't have to make daily lineup changes. I don't know how your leagues work, Steve.
So I'm in a couple of leagues. One is the weekly that you're familiar with, and that I do the same thing Sunday night. I just kind of reassess my lineup, or Monday morning, and you're set for the week. What sucks about that format is that if your guy goes down on Monday and is on the IL, you lose basically stats the entire week, because you have no way of substituting them. But then I've also been in leagues that are daily, and it actually bit me in the ass last year. So I am really OCD and very compulsive about changing the daily lineups. And I look at it every single day. I look at the stats of who's pitching and who's playing and who's off. And it turned out the league I was in, which unbeknownst to me, had actually a maximum amount of innings that you could actually bat and pitch at the end of the year. So it turned out I was actually, because I was so good in adjusting my lineup, I reached my max by the last week of the season and lost all the stats for the final week, and ended up dropping out of first place because I had no stats for the last week.
I used to play in daily leagues, Mike, before I had children.
Yeah,
so, had a lot more time to.
You also did it before it was online. You had to probably
So I was able to focus a lot better. Now just set it up on Sunday and go. Football to me is still the most fun out of all of them. There's just something about fantasy football that's just, I don't know, it's just a lot of fun.
Let's switch gears for a second. You guys are playing each other in our.
So let's give the audience understands. So this is Steve's league.
Yes.
He invited us. He's the commissioner. He's had the best team this year. 12-1. 13-1?
13.
Wow. Yeah.
13-1. Most points also, not just he's just not 13-1 and, won because, the 1 week somebody scored 50 and he scored 60. His teams scored a lot of points. I fell in the 8th place, so 8 teams make it, so 1 versus 8. The only good thing about my team is I'm the 3rd highest scoring team in the league. Yeah. So I do have a little bit of a chance. I feel like I have a slight little chance. So
I told you this. I'm actually worried. This year, this week, it's really hard in fantasy football to beat the same team 3 times in a season. Yeah. It's I think with law of averages and variance, it never happens. Well, especially if your team is solid and yours is good. You've got a really good team. I think you got the first week I beat you by 1/10 of a point or
easy
1 point or something absurd. No, you've got a good team. I'm hoping Lamar goes off on the Giants and he throws 5 touchdown passes to Zay Flowers, and Mark Andrews, gets looked at in the dust. It doesn't help you at all.
So I have Mark Andrews. He has Lamar Jackson. But, the other thing I look at, you're talking about the closeness of losses. I think I lost 3, maybe 4 matchups by 5 or less points.
Really? Yeah.
I've been, I lost some ridiculous scores too. I be the 2nd highest scorer in the entire league, and the first one is the guy I played. So I've had some of that.
How's your team been, Mike?
You know how my team's been. Not making trouble.
Just like the Jets.
You know exactly how my team. You're owner of the league. I made a joke. Just our audience. Yeah, my team has the same record as the Jets. So there you go.
I'll tell you how bad Mike's team is. Mike's
Thanks.
team is so bad that its first overall pick is Saquon Barkley, who's the best fantasy player this year, and his team is that bad.
Injuries.
It was fun. You make that point, Vinny. I was looking at your team too, Mike, and I was like, "How did you lose so many games? You have Saquon. Like, how did that?"
Because I had other injuries.
Because the Pacheco injury killed you.
Pacheco killed me.
Killed you. Because you had no other second running back. You were running what's his name, Allen from the Jets, and he doesn't even play.
So bad.
And
See,
then
but Mike, what you gotta do is you gotta keep up on the daily, like the weekly waivers, and like think about like the backup running backs.
Yeah, well,
It's a plug and play.
You know what it is, and this what the other thing is to
You're
be
too loyal to the New York teams who are awful.
The other thing to be fair, this is a 14-team league, so the free agency market isn't as
that was
robust.
tough being in the 14 team. Yeah, it was tough. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. This
Hey,
is
look at the person who was 0 and whatever. He had such a good team, but injuries.
and his first 3 draft picks were all injured. I think he had CMC.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Olave,
The
and
top
Ayuk.
3 were all out.
It was CMC, Olave, and Ayuk because I looked
Yeah,
at it.
yeah.
Because he said, "Oh, my whole first 3 picks," and I was going to be like, "Let me look at it just to make sure he's not full of crap." And then I looked at it, and I'm like, "Oh, this poor guy."
I mean, it's hard to win when that's your draft. You basically don't draft for 3 weeks for the 3 picks. Yeah.
Listen, it's hard enough to win in fantasy when you lose your first round pick like for the year, right? Because that's like your core guy that you want, to be the guy, right? Then you lose your second and third round guy as well. You get it.
No coming back from that.
Yeah.
Steve, I've asked Vinny this question. I'm curious what your take is. Your Super Bowl teams right now are.
You can't bet against Mahomes yet, so I still go Kansas City, and Detroit's got to do it. I mean,
That's my
if this isn't going to be their year, I don't know if they're good. I take that back. I think Detroit comes out of the NFC. Part of me, like in the back of my mind, wants to bet on Josh Allen a little bit, like and so like, can he finally do it without Diggs there? I still just can't go against Mahomes. I feel like Mahomes always finds a way.
Crazy. Big game this week.
Every game they just win by slim margins. It's not even that they're playing. I mean, listen, it's not like
I think I could easily see the 2 favorites, obviously Detroit and Kansas City meeting up, and like I could see Detroit winning on like some like fluky, like win by 1 or 2 points on a late second field goal or something like that.
Big game for Buffalo this week playing.
Yeah, I can't wait for that one.
Mm-hmm.
Lions, Bills.
But what's interesting? Am I wrong? I guess if the records stay the same, doesn't Buffalo have home field against Kansas City?
No.
Or just Kansas City only has 1 loss, right? So
yeah, Buffalo's got 3.
You got 3. Are they 3? Okay.
Yeah, they got to tie them because they have the 1 losses against Buffalo. But
yeah. Okay.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if Kansas City will lose 3 games. They might lose 2. Yeah. I don't know if they'll lose 3.
Yeah, I agree.
But I feel that we keep forgetting about the Vikings. And if the Bills somehow beat Detroit and the Vikings keep winning, the last game of the season is Detroit and Minnesota with them both potentially 2 losses. So gotta be, it's possible this mighty Detroit team all of a sudden falls to a 5 seed.
If Sam Darnold takes Minnesota to the Super Bowl.
Sam Darnold and
Minnesota's never been there.
Here's what's going to happen. Ready?
Can't take it anymore.
Denver's going to figure out a way to get all the way to the Super Bowl. But in the AFC Championship game, Bo Nix is going to get hurt.
And Zach Wilson comes in
over for the Super Bowl, and the Vikings get there. So it's Zach Wilson versus Sam Darnold.
Throw up. Thank you. Anthony's saying that in the chat. Poor Mike. That'd be doomsday for me. Just. Oh God.
Well, we know which two teams are not going to be in the Super Bowl.
Who?
The
Raiders or Giants end up with worse record?
I think the Giants, because the Jets already have one win in hand.
Well, I'm talking about Raiders.
Oh, Raiders. Oh, sorry.
Raiders.
I
Raiders.
think we're gonna have the same record.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't think neither team's gonna win again.
Yeah.
Vinny, you could say it. We were at the bar the other night, and Vinny goes to me, "How are the Jets a favorite this week?"
Oh yeah, I forgot to say that. You're right.
You forgot to say it.
3-point favorite against Jacksonville.
That's
Jacksonville.
But Steve, you know what's going to happen now that it doesn't matter. Now that it doesn't matter, the Jets will win a couple games.
Of course, yeah, and they'll get like a top 10, 9 or 10 draft pick when they could have been like a top 5. Yeah,
They should have actually beat the Dolphins last week. I was telling Mike, everyone
time management was awful.
Everyone would have been in an uproar if that game really mattered, because they have the worst time management in less than a minute that I ever saw. I don't know what they were doing.
I mean, it's the whole New York football scene is a mockery the last couple of years. I've never seen it so bad for both teams. Like what is? I don't know.
Here's what I'll say. Ready? I told Vinny this many times. At least the Giants went into the season, and you kind of knew in the back of your head, they were slated to win 5 or 6 games, maybe, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, the loss of Saquon and other things. Daniel Jones, which Daniel Jones was going to play this year, and obviously it didn't come to fruition. But the Jets on paper, no matter who you spoke to. Now, I thought when people said, "Oh, Super Bowl," now don't talk to me about Super Bowl. Talk to me about playoffs. Playoffs. And I thought they had everything on paper. They built their offensive line. They had a top 5 defense. And where was it this year? Where did it go? It was one of the biggest busts. One of the biggest busts in NFL history. I'm sorry. It is
terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I think they totally underperformed. I mean, that you can blame Saleh, but I don't even think Saleh was the problem.
Now let's look back at that.
Yeah.
They were 2-3, 1 game out of first place. They were playing the Bills, right? Now, I'm not saying Saleh was a great head coach by any means. Did he deserve to be fired? No. And look what happened when he was fired. He was defensive. If anything, he was defensive coach. What happened to their defense when he was fired? It went down every week. Wasn't teams were just going through them, right?
Right.
I don't know.
Look at how he's doing as a consultant with the Packers. They're 4-1 since he's been there.
Everyone who leaves the Jets has success. You leave, you go on to better opportunity.
It's like a stepping stone. You can't get any worse.
So Steve, how much do you pay attention to college football at all?
Very minimally, to be honest with you.
So do you have?
I know the playoff changes have happened, and I know that IU is.
No, not that. My thing is Giants get the first pick. Is there anyone that you've said that you want as your quarterback?
There's that. So Sanders seems to be like who everyone's talking about, or Cam Ward, I think, are the two that have really risen the ranks. I honestly haven't done enough research back on them to see who would be a better fit.
Just so you know, you guys can have Sanders, and the Raiders will take Cam Ward.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm assuming we don't want Sanders then.
I just want Cam Ward. I think he's better. In my feeling, I think he'll translate better to the NFL than Sanders. I will tell you, if the Jets take Quinn Ewers somewhere, they could just forget about it. They could just say he's the next Sam Darnold, because I watch him playing big games, and he just, to me, is not that great. And if he's going to go in the first round, I'd be shocked. That's a kid from Texas.
Yeah.
You guys should just wait till Arch Manning, comes out next year, the Jets. So he decides not to come out like Peyton did and go his senior year back to college.
Vinny said there's a 5% chance that Aaron Rodgers comes back next year. 5%.
To the Jets or another team?
To the Jets. 5%.
I think it goes somewhere else.
I can't see them bringing him back.
How can you?
I can't see it.
I can't.
And
Why
then
would-
this
Why
one
would you bring him back?
one of my coworkers, I will not say his name, he wrote to me, and I had to like just stare at it. He goes, "I hate to say this, Mike, but I think Aaron Rodgers is the best option right now."
But for what? Best option for what?
What has he done?
Well, what's the best option for what?
Best option to lead the team again next year. I'm like, what did he lead this year?
What? To 8 wins?
From
You
beyond-
want
Is
to
the
win
best option to a number
when
one
he
draft
said
pick?
best option,
Probably.
I said, what are you talking about?
Super Bowl. That's where you want to go. You know, this team was built to go to the Super Bowl, or at least try to make it to the Super Bowl. They got 3 wins. Your best option for what? 8 wins?
I can't anymore.
How many wins do you think this guy's going to give you next year?
He's going to be. You know what I equated it to, Steve? I don't know if you ever saw the movie. You ever see the movie Necessary Roughness? It's an old movie. It had that guy. He came back from college. He was like a 40-year-old quarterback, and he was in all kinds of pain. That's what Aaron Rodgers looks like out there. He's like the guy from Necessary Roughness is just coming in.
Is it like Heaven Can't Wait when Warren Beatty died and came back?
And then he said something. Vinny and I are watching it on the TV the other day, and he said some quote on a show. He's like, "We need the curse to end." Who wants to hear that? The Jets curse. This is what your quarterback's saying? How about taking accountability?
He doesn't take accountability for nothing. Poor Mike Williams got thrown out of freaking New York because of him.
Yeah, look how well he did the next game when he got thrown out. Remember that? You had all those catches?
In Pittsburgh, now he's like their number 2 receiver.
I'm telling you. Steve, let's go to another New York team that I'm proud about. They still have their work cut out, but made some great trades. The New York Knicks, as Vinny likes to say. We have Cat, I think, has been fantastic. I know we lost the other night against the Hawks. That was tough. We kind of just let down the fourth quarter. Offensive rebounding wasn't there. But when you look at this team this year compared to last year, and kind of the function that Jalen Brunson has with these new assets, what are your thoughts right now, early in the year?
I think the trade will work out in the end. I think, you know, what's a little hard is that they had such good chemistry last year with the team because they all played together and they all knew each other from college. And I think it's taking obviously some time for them to grow and meld together. I think it's going to be good for Jalen in the end to have like a wingman or even like a superstar A. So he doesn't have to have the load of pressure on him all the time. You know, Cat's been amazing offensively. He's still improving defensively, which I think the return of Robinson will help in a couple of months when he comes back. I think also having Bridges being, you know, he's played a nice role too. I think he's done really, really well with the team, and I think he's fit in nicely. You know, I remember in the playoffs last year, Josh Hart was like playing like 48, 50 minutes in every game. And like, you know, he was like your leading scorer half the time. And it's good to have him be back in his role where I think he's better suited, just being, you know, a complimentary player and putting up the stats that are most needed for him.
Yeah. And I don't think Tibbs is going to change his style with the minutes. That is what he's known for. He's not changing for anybody. He'll play but these guys want to play. They don't care. They don't cry about it, right? The only thing I will say is that when you play that all throughout the year, you will be more prone to injuries and being tired, right? So I think the time management, you have some of these bench players, I think they should utilize a little bit more. But so far, the Knicks have been good. I think, obviously, our goal is to get to the Eastern Conference Finals against the Celtics or the Cavs at this point. I can't believe what's going on with them.
Cavs. Where did that come out of nowhere?
But I think we're where we want to be right now, and I think we're going to keep improving, right? It's still very new, but I'm happy with what we're seeing.
I hear Tibbs wants to give Aaron Rodgers 15 minutes off because, you know, he's their best option.
Stop it. Steve, I need you to watch that movie Necessary Roughness. You have to.
I'll put it on my to-do list.
I think when Mitch Robinson and Precious are back in the rotation, you'll see minutes, you know, have to be reduced for some of these guys.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and I still think what's his name hasn't gotten any flow. Bridges, like none.
No, inconsistent.
Right? I think he just still got to find his way.
He'll find his way.
We need
I'll
20
I'll tell you one thing that's not finding its way is that playing game.
I'm done with that.
Not one person I speak to understands it, and then they change the whole court. I'm just like,
What is this?
Just play the game.
But
I'm so sick.
I'll ask you off the air, but I still don't understand how it factors into the standings and whether
we don't.
It's equitable.
Well, I'll tell you, it was the first time, I don't know, maybe ever, that I was happy the Knicks lost because they're not in the freaking thing anymore.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, thank God they lost. Good. Let Trae Young celebrate on the center court. That's fine. That's great.
He's like the Reggie Miller.
Like, but I'm done. I was done with this stupid tournament, and then I'm thinking to myself, oh, this dumb team is going to raise a banner for winning this tournament and really piss me off, and then I'm not going to want to watch them the rest of the year.
I mean, I've got a better idea. Why don't, if you want to do this tournament, instead of having the All-Star game, take a week off for the All-Star break and have the teams play a tournament during that week. And that doesn't count in the standings. It's just like playing. And do it that way.
Then if a guy gets hurt,
injuries, like they're not going to do that.
Yeah, that's why it counts.
Well, it's part of the game.
The reason it counts is because it goes towards like the regular season. But
I mean, I don't understand what the point of it. No other sport does this.
Stupid.
I hope they get rid of it next year.
I mean, it's got to be a money-making.
Like having a Final Four in the middle of the college football season or the NFL. It's like, oh, who are the top 4 teams? Okay, they play each other the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. One topic we forgot to discuss, and getting back to college football, and I know you know, is Mr. Bill Belichick.
Oh yeah.
And
UNC. So
it was funny, like Brady and Gronk, they were talking about it, and they're just like, yeah, how's he going to have patience for 18 to 22-year-old kids? He's never recruited. He's taken his NFL style. There's only a handful of coaches that have been even remotely successful. I can't see this being successful. You guys agree or disagree?
He's a big grouch.
He's not going to have patience.
I think
but the standard is so low.
I think that this is set up for his son to become a head coach.
Yeah. That's
now, I think he's going to be the head coach by name, but I have a feeling his son's going to be the one running this whole thing. That's my feeling.
So he hires him as like an assistant, and then he just basically is a mentor.
It makes him do everything. He doesn't want to go into some 17-year-old kid's freaking kitchen with his parents and say, "Hey, I want you to come to North Carolina. How do you feel about that?" On to the next kid. We're going to the next kid. All right. How about what have you done? I had Tom Brady. I had Lawrence Taylor. What more do you need? I had Tom Brady. I had Lawrence Taylor. I mean, this is what we're going to get to. I mean, come on.
It's coming.
But why else would you take that job? It doesn't make any sense. If you were let's say you were not offered any other NFL opportunity and you don't think it's ever coming to you, then right off into the sunset, go into the media outlets like Brady and Romo and everyone else, and commentate. That's what everyone else does. Why would you go back to coaching college? It makes to me it makes no sense. Other than hopefully getting his son set up for that job. Yeah.
That's the only thing that makes sense.
That's the only thing I can think that makes sense. Yeah. Unless he wants more money, but he's got millions of dollars anyway. I don't know.
He's making millions of dollars just doing the Manning cast.
I like him on that Manning cast. Stay there.
He's on Inside the NFL. He's on the Manning thing. He's on McAfee's show. He's he's everywhere. He's making millions of dollars just doing that. To me, this is just for him to coach, be part of something, and then set his son up, for everything.
I agree.
That's right, Anthony. His girlfriend's going to help recruiting.
She probably will more than he is.
She knows more about the young people now than he does.
One more question for you because I'm about to ask you with the Giants. Does Dable come back or not?
No. I think you have to clean house again. I think you have to start over fresh. And
God,
I like Dable. I think he's a good coach. I just can't see it happening. You were given your entire coaching staff was let go last year because of you, and now you couldn't do it again. And I feel like it's going to look bad if you keep him. Maybe you'll go over and coach your Jets.
Never. Nah. Who knows who's going to coach that team next year?
John Gruden.
Rex Ryan.
Imagine John Gruden walking into Florham Park. He'd throw half the freaking staff out as soon as he walked in.
You know who's going to coach the Jets next year? Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers.
It's so funny you say that because on DraftKings it's at plus 10,000.
Full clipboard and everything.
Yeah. Well, Steve, thank you so much for coming on again. You're one of the best guests we have. Always have a fun time. You were very good with the Yankees today. Not a lot of complaints. More optimism.
December, Mike. It's December.
Oh, I'll wait till April. We'll have you back.
They didn't lose today, so
we'll have him in June, and he'll tell us how he really feels.
Vinny, you forgot to mention one important thing.
I'm going to do it right now.
Please do.
This episode was brought to us by Turntable LP Bar and Karaoke, 34-36 West 32nd Street, New York, New York. And if you go there right now or in the next few days, you mentioned Vin and Mike, you're going to get free house-made fries. Those are fresh hand-cut fries with a splash of truffle oil, Parmesan cheese, spicy mayo, and ketchup. So check it out.
Steve, next time you come to New York, we're taking you there.
I'll be
get
there.
Your free fries. Go say hello to Victor, say Vin and Mike, and you'll get those free fries.
Can't wait.
All right.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's been awesome per usual.
It was a fun episode. Enjoyed it.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.
Hang on. We'll talk to you.
What? Bye.
Not you.